Hey everyone, today I'm gonna sculpt something new. So I'm planning to sculpt some astronauts, I guess, and I just collected a couple of images. Could you hear me fine? Okay, so the UI is English and should be good to go. So currently I don't really have a character right now, but I think I should start with something basic, like for example, a female base model. Now I just use ZBrush. And let's see, I'm gonna use the new document and place it there. Oh, why is it not a window size? Yeah. And I'm just gonna use this as a base, and I'm gonna design the character after I put some like rough shapes onto it. So first of all, I need to collect a couple of images that I searched on the internet to get some like equipment of an astronaut. Like some astronaut images are really like cool. Like they even have some like like beers like this. So yeah, I need to like look at the right images so I don't get mixed up. So I guess the first thing I should do is put some like spheres on a model. Like this. And put something black. Yeah. Okay, looks like I'm done. Okay, so jokes aside, I'm gonna put some basic shapes on, so it looks a bit more better. I think the backpack itself is pretty big, something like this. And maybe a bit more wider. Yeah, looks like it. And I think the glove should be focused as a separate object, so I'm gonna just focus something around this, and there's a boot, so I'm gonna just focus around here. Oh, I don't need a thickness, so no thickness. Extract and accept. Here we go. And I just need a lower resolution version so I can put some wrinkles onto it. Okay, and then inflate. Hey, welcome. I'm planning to make some astronaut designs or astronaut characters, but I'm just doing something really simple for today, and just start with some base so I can get some like designs going. It's pretty important to get some like basic shapes like this to actually get the feel of the character. Also, there seems to be a ring that goes around this torso, so it like connects with the bottom and the top portion, I guess. I don't know, like each time I start making some new models, I'm really like concerned about myself like messing it up, so it's pretty common. And I'm gonna have another joint where I can connect the leg portion as well. And something like this. I think you guys can hear the fan noises. Yes? Okay. It doesn't. I don't think I could make something really realistic, but I'm trying something out of my like comfort zone, so I don't really start making some anime spaceship characters. I guess. I think I need to duplicate this and add something to it. Like this. Okay. Always heavy. This might be off topic, but I was wondering to ask Daisuke-san about it. I've read that figurine modeling in Japan salary is around. I don't think so. No, that's pretty high on the higher end of the scale. You're talking about monthly salaries, right? I have a question about curve strap snap ZBrush. I want to do a simple strap, but I can't manage to close the curve. Do you know how to close it? You mean simple strap? You mean something like this? So, for example, if you have a mesh like this, and if you want to close it, oh, this is subdivided. Okay. Yes, so if you're like, you need to like select the curve straps and then draw a line, and then while drawing the line you need to press shift, and then it will make a loop, and then it should be able to connect. Yeah, so for the monthly salaries for like a new like figurine sculptor in Japan is like $2,400 maybe, and yeah, like after that you need to like earn your like skills, and then your salaries will increase. Or if you manage to have a bigger audience before you join the company, then yeah, your value is more higher than the average person who just started to work for the company. But yeah, it's not really high as a salary. I don't know for the average, like honestly, because like making figures and like making products that have fans, and like there's a lot of like popularity between like different sculptors, like I think the price of the salaries will depend on how much your work is like valued, so that really like changes everything. This is saying you're in contract with a company? No. I'm not talking about myself. Like I don't like I'm working for Maxon. I don't get paid to do other things. And currently, I'm not really interested in like spending more time to do work right now. So yeah, I do get a couple of like offers from a couple of companies, but like I always turn them down because I'm not really interested. For the individual like work for figurines, it really depends. Like some people charge more, like some people charge around like $7,000 per piece, or depending on like how much work they have to do. And like how much like work they are required to do, so that depends on like each case by case basis. And if they're popular enough, like they can charge more, right? No, like in Japan, like mostly it's companies. Like they like people don't usually like get orders from individuals. Especially in Japan, like because we have a like license system, especially because the copyright system is strict in Japan. So like usually you can't ask a sculptor for some like character that belongs to another like company or another entity. So usually you need to get permission from the license holders to actually start doing some things. So because of that, you don't really see a commission-based market for Japan. Well, there's a lot of like people who wants to get in the industry, so like it's very competitive as an industry. So people charge less. And at a certain point, there's people who can charge more, who has more skills. So you have that kind of like area where people are charging a lot of money versus people who aren't charging enough money or who can't charge enough money. So that depends on the artist itself. So for Wonder Festivals, it's a 1 day license system. So like Wonder Festivals like committee actually made that license system. So you need to like, in order to sell a kit in Japan and on Wonder Festival, you need to apply for the license, and you need to like ask for permission from like from the original content creator, but going through Wonder Festival committee, and then you're able to like sell the kit just 1 day and on location only. And you can't really do some pre-sales. You can't do some like you can't do some like reservations, and that's basically it. Like you need to get permissions like before the event even starts, and you need to set some like specific amount that you're gonna plan to sell. And depending on the amount of like the kits you're gonna sell, some license holders are really strict about those, and you can't really sell the amount you're planning. So it really depends on the content the license holders and what you're trying to make as well. For anime figurines, how often do you find yourself retopologizing? Not much. How to become pro in ZBrush? Please give me some tips. Depends on what you're making. Okay, so there should be a hinge. Oh, now I realize. So this is a separate part from this cover. But yeah, like I'm doing some rough, so it should be fine. Let's just do some roughs. And there should be something like a cylinder. Like this, which is I guess it's a metal pot. So I'm gonna put some chrome to it temporarily. Anime figures. There is a couple of anime like figure discords that I know of, but those are really for non-sculptors. They are collectors. I'm not really aware there's a anime figure sculptor discord like that. If there is, someone can like invite me to it. Well, yeah, for the salary for figure artists, like it really depends on the artist's skills. Like individual artists has different salaries. So. And like usually Japan's like salary culture is depending on the age and the pop, like how old the the person is usually, and it depends on how much skill, how much popularity that person has. So it really depends on that as well. So there's a lot of factors that you're not, like it depends on the company as well. So there's a lot of factors that I'm not aware of as well in some cases. Okay, so currently I just want to do some like folds on this like arm, but like for example, if I just do dynamics with the current like volume, it's gonna mess up the cloth, because like it's detecting all the visible mesh as a volume. So if I do some like simulations, it's gonna mess up the area around the neck. So I don't want this to happen. So what I want to do is I should isolate just this too, and then use that to calculate. So I just need to press recalculate and then run the simulation. And like you can see that this is really stretching really easily, and this is because your simulation iteration is low. So I should set this to 500 or something like that, and then like limit the area to the arm like this. And because like this is inflating really hard, because it has the like the volume of the collision volume inflated to 1. So I guess I just need to like use this 0.5, I guess. Did you gather some references for today's sculpt, or are you sculpting from memory? Always collect references. So I do collect references based on years of experience too, right? Yes. So experience of the industry, age, and the popularity of the sculptors, all those kind of factors. Okay, so I just extended the folds, and now I want to add a bit of a wrinkle to it. So what I'm currently doing is, I'm just like positioning the gizmo so it's close to the center of the arm, and then I'm using the transposed cloth and then squishing it. And if I do this a bit slow, because I enabled the expand option, it's trying to like calculate and expand at the same time. So honestly, I'm not really a like specialist about the foreigners trying to work in Japan kind of like topic, because like I'm not a foreigner myself. So I think it's better if you can grab hold of someone who is already working in Japan and ask someone who's able to talk about that. But yeah, like if you have the skills, and like usually in like Japanese companies are really bad at like talking English, so if you have the skills to actually get the job or like be able to like communicate well, then I think it's not a problem to get a job in Japan. But usually that means talking in Japanese will be the primary thing. Who are your inspirations so far? That's a good question. Like I usually like think about a couple of artists, but like I don't really have a specific person in mind right now. But like there's a lot of like artists I don't know that are making really good artworks, and there's like a lot of artists I really respect and look up to as well. Recalculating the volume, and currently I want to inflate, so I'm just gonna inflate without the gravity. Something like this. And if I enable the dynamic subdivisions, it has this kind of like wrinkle happening here. Well, for the sculptors not being credited, that's in some cases. Like in most cases, it's credited, but sometimes it's in Japanese, and like sometimes it's credited as a team because it's sometimes a team effort to actually get those sculpts done. Yeah, he has really good skills. Yeah, I agree. Usually there is NDAs when doing like sculpting, and like nobody's like able to talk about what they're making right now until it's announced. And some cases, some companies are really strict. They can't like talk about the past product as well because it's like they need to ask permission from the like license holders to actually talk about things. Like if they get some interviews, and then if they want to talk about the past project, and like if they want to post some images, they need to ask the license holders. Yeah, that's really common. Like it's not out of the ordinary. Like you can't get the artist to talk about what project they're working on. Like if they're working on if they're working for a game company, like if they talk about the things that they are working on, then that's a problem, right? I know a couple of sculptors from Ultra. So I'm gonna make like an area where I can create some seams so it looks like it's connected. And like I usually use polygroups to make this happen. So by using polygroups and using the weighted smooth mode 6 or the brush called, if you go to the brush, you can find smooth, very smooth here. So if you go to smooth and then you find smooth groups, this one. So if you use this, the shift key will be swapped to this one, and you can change the dynamic. No, you can change the polygroup borders to be able to do this. And currently I was using the dynamic because I wanted the smoothing to happen, and because of this the corners will be smoothed out. But in order to like get a better result, I'm just gonna use the keep groups and then ZBrush. So I get this kind of like straight lines. And I guess I don't really need a smooth group option. Yeah, this should be fine. I'm gonna use the pinch to get some falls happening. Oh, this is too strong. 40%. Um, 25, I guess. And because I was able to like split this area, I can use the border of this polygroup by using mask, and using the mask groups and then flipping it, I'm able to do this. And by using this, I'm gonna inflate the areas. Well, in like the reverse, like I'm gonna deflate by using the local symmetry. And then you're able to make something like a seam. Have you ever stepped foot into 2D mediums for time? How do you think you did with... Oh, you mean like drawing skills? Yeah, like I was drawing for a while, like for several years, but I just gave up because like there's a lot of like competitive like illustrators in the market, and I wasn't able to compete. But yeah, like all the skills you can learn from like drawing will be translated into ZBrush. So some people ask me what is the shortcut of like becoming a good artist, and most of the time I just answer like just draw things. You get good. Yeah, pretty much. For the folds that you see, I usually use the standard brush because usually it's the best brush to get these kind of like folds really easily. If you need to have something sharp, I usually just go for the damn standard brush. I think people underestimate the value of like having the standard brush. Like I use it all the time, but some people like just don't use it. Honestly, like because damn standard will be like pinching, so like you can see there's a pinch going on the edge. So sometimes I just switch the alpha with the standard brush, and you can sculpt without the pinch. And sometimes this is a better result. But it depends on your workflow. Okay, I'm gonna do some same tricks around here. Oh, welcome. Yeah, clay buildup is really handy. Like, everybody knows it. Everybody uses it. Honestly, like, yeah, you can do that as well. Like, if you have a mesh, you can just use move brush, or you can use the snake hook brush to do most of the things. Oh, I don't need this. I need to expand the masking, so grow, boost, no, should be sharpen mask. Yeah. In what scenario do you use Gizmo tool? What? Gizmo tools? What do you mean? The actual move? I see you often use the sphere even for masking. Oh, you mean the transpose masking, like this? Oh, you mean the old transpose? Yeah, this is fine. Like, I tend to use gizmos because currently I'm using transpose cloth at the same time, and like it's easier to switch back and forth between the mask and the gizmos because you're using the transpose cloth. But it depends on your preference. Like, some people prefer to use transpose. Yeah, like rotating, stretching, masking. It really depends. Like, for example, if you select the area like this, and then, like, for example, if you select the area like this, and if you want to like rotate from here, and then it's easier to rotate like this than to like guesstimate where the position is and then to do it like this. So it's really precise in a way. And you have a couple of features that doesn't exist in Gizmo 3D that would allow you to do in Transpose. So one, I think, yeah, so this one. So if you draw a line, and if you're in a rotate mode, and then if you're pressing Control and pressing the end circle, the circle at the end, it will try to rotate the camera to that line so it becomes straight. Okay. So if you want to have this like leg to be straight onto the camera or straight horizontal to the transpose action line, you can just do this. So this is sometimes handy. And you can't do this on Gizmo 3D. I don't really have an experience using transpose action lines and then getting a crash. Oh, I need to move this area so it has space for the gloves, the huge massive gloves. And I'm gonna make the, oh, I can use this. Oh, it's very handy. I can just flip it over and then get the extract and use this. Oh, I don't need the head though. Okay. And then let's just split this area. Split hidden. And then let's see what we can do with the inflate. Same for this. Oh, not the entire mesh. This. And we don't need the individual legs or the leg fingers. So I'm just gonna use Dynamesh to connect this. This looks fine. And I guess inflating a bit more and then masking and yep. Okay, so I got the basic shape done pretty fast, right? So I need to think about the cables as well, but for now, I don't think I should just focus on the cables yet. Because if I start focusing on the cables, it's gonna like be really like tricky to move around. Well, astronauts don't really stretch those things, so I think it's fine, but yeah. Well, first of all, I think having the sleeves tucked in to the glove would be started. Thanks. And let's see, I'm just gonna... I think I should close the holes and then use the keep groups and zero mesh. I actually have a question regarding how to deal with meshes between the legs, say for example near the crotch area. I was able to sculpt a chibi and the pants are close to each other, and so the vertex, even with symmetry on, kind of like affect each other and don't exactly move in symmetry. Oh, I think I explained this last week, or last week. You can use the snake hook and then go to brush, auto masking, and then if you enable back face masking, it just ignores the opposite side because it's the back face on the opposite side. So, like for example, you can see the difference between the non-back face masking. So if I disable the back face masking, you have this kind of like effect where like it starts to affect the opposite side, and then if you cross over the center point, it's gonna like do the sculpt like as if it's like moving like this, right? But if you enable back face masking, you can do this. So yeah, pretty easy, right? Oh, you enable the back face masking from brush, auto masking, and back face mask. Okay. Back face masking is pretty handy when you're working on thin objects, like some really thin objects. For example, if you have something like this, which is really thin, right? And then if you're like sculpting on this, and if you don't want to like affect the opposite side, like this is like affecting the opposite side, right? But if you enable back face masking, you're able to do this without affecting the opposite side. So this is the benefit of back face masking. And yeah, some people don't know how powerful the back face masking is, so yeah, it's really handy. Also, for example, if you have a mesh like this which is symmetry, but like if you mess up the area by using like if you just hide the mesh and then, oh, I want to work on this side, and then like work like this, and now you have a broken symmetry, right? This is not symmetrical. So if you have this, what you can do is you can mask using the mask rect like this. And then because your mesh is symmetry, and because you're like the topology is like symmetrical, right? So you can go to deformation and then enable smart remesh, and then it will try to like reconstruct the symmetry from the opposite side you masked. Hey, welcome. So if you want to like retain the opposite side, like on the right side, you can use the smart like resymmetry, but on the right hand side as well. So using the masking will try to retain that area and then apply it on the other side. But if you use this without masking, what would happen is like it will try to get the like the middle portion, or the like the medium portion, like the center point, and then it will try to like mediate between the two differences. So this is really handy. But like there's a couple of meshes that you can't work with, which is cubes and cylinders, because this is like, as you can see, this has multiple axes that could be symmetrical. So like the right and left would be symmetrical, and the top and bottom would be symmetrical, and then the depth, the front and the back will be symmetrical. So you have 3 axes that would be symmetrical. If you have more than 2 axes that is symmetrical, you can't use smart remesh, because smart remesh can't detect which axis to like replicate, and that'll be a problem. So yeah, just be aware. Well, we have, to be honest. Like for example, I have a T-pose mesh, right? And then if I save this, if I just save the bottom subdivision and then export as an OBJ, and I'll just save it onto a location, space suit T-pose. And then if I start like moving the arms around, right? So this is really rough, but like you'll see the point. Like if I start moving the area like this, you have an asymmetry, right? And then, for example, if I want to move the legs, like this, now I basically have a pose mesh, right? And then, oh, I don't need to do this, go back. And then if I want to export this and save this as spacesuit posed, right? And then now, like if I want to go back to symmetry, like if I sculpted something like this and I wanted to do the same thing on the other side, I currently can't do this, right? Well, technically you can do this by using the transpose active symmetry, using posable symmetry, and then you can try to do this. But another way you can do this is, like, for example, if I sculpt a V shape on this one, let's make it really like obvious. And then if I wanted to do something on the other side, right? I go to the lowest subdivision, import onto this mesh, the one I saved when I was doing the T-pose. It will load the mesh as a T-pose. And then if I go to the highest subdivision level, I have the V shape applied onto a T-pose, right? Right? You get it? You get what's happening? So I put the pose mesh back to T-pose and retain the details like a V shape on the mesh, right? And then I can use the combination of smart resymmetry I just showed you by using this smart resymmetry on the opposite side, and now I have a V shape on the opposite side, right? And then I want to go back to the posed mesh now. Like, I'm fine with the V shape. Now it's symmetry. It's fine. So I go back to the lowest subdivision stage and I go to the import. And because I saved the posed OBJ file, I can load it back. And then if I go to the highest subdivision levels, I get the details of the V shape back, and I also have the V shape on the other side because I applied the smart resymmetry. So this has been existing for like ages. Like, people don't talk about this stuff for some reason. I don't know, but yeah, so you can do this. You can just go back and forth between the two stages if you want, and then just do whatever you want. I think I talked about this kind of like technique 3 to 4 times on the stream, but like it always surprises people. It's always fun. Do you have a Twitter or an Instagram? Yeah, I do have my personal Twitter, but I'm not gonna post it here. I do have an Instagram, so I can send you that. But why ZBrush won't add the feature like Stager for easier use? Because it's really, really technical. So like the difference between Stager and this method is that you need to, for this method to work, you need to have a specific topology. So you have to have the same topology with the same poly counts. And that's really specific, right? But for Stager, because it doesn't rely on topology, well, the first initial like registration of the home and the target would require the same topology. But after you've done that, you can't, like, you can switch between the meshes, you can copy paste the meshes, and then like you can go back and forth between the like stage. So there's multiple benefits between the two methods. So because of that, like one is limited to topology. One doesn't have to be limited to topology, but it doesn't work for like posing. So there's technical reasons, right? I like using Dell Studio for the base mesh that you can pose without having to rig, skin rig. Yeah, depends. For me, like I prefer to like make the characters from scratch. So I usually start from a sphere or use the existing mesh that I have, and then just start from there. So I don't usually use a template geometry or template software to actually get the meshes done. But depends on the person, like the person who's like using it. Like ZBrush is flexible to actually accept those methods, so that's fine. Oh, it's like, oh, okay. I thought you said I like to use. Oh, stupid me with the English. Yeah, like it's better to like learn the anatomy while you're like sculpting characters, I guess. It's beneficial in the long term. Maybe I want to add something like a chrome to this. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Like, if you see this happening, like for example, if you switch to flat color, and then you have this kind of like area where the material is like changing. This is because you enabled a material channel on the brush, like you can see on the top. And then if you start sculpting, it's gonna like paint over the material information. So this will happen. So if you want this, if you like want to reset the material information, you can just paint over with flat color and just like enable material channel and then fill object. Then it will just like remove the material information from the mesh, and then you can be able to like switch back and forth between multiple like materials because nothing is assigned, right? But like if you want to assign a specific material for your mesh, then you can just use the M and then paint with the other materials. Like for example, if I want the helmet cover to have a specific like gray material, I can just paint over with flat like fill object, and then if I switch to skin shade, the helmet cover will be specific to the gray material. But if you don't want this, like if you want to remove this, you can just paint it over with flat color, and then it's gonna remove this. So it's easy. Hi Deski, would you know why when I boolean a folder, the brush icon turns on the boolean? So let me see this. So I create folder and then Boolean, and then I use the live Boolean to get the Boolean and then see what happens. Okay, so in my case, the brush doesn't get activated, but let's see if I have one mesh that has some kind of like a red, right? And then another would have, well, if another would have a white, what would happen? So now you can see that because I had one mesh that had red on it, because it had the polypaint information, right? Or the polypaint enabled, and the other was not enabled, right? And then the result would be, because one had a polypaint, the result would have polypaint as well, right? So if you don't want the polypaints to get onto the mesh, just disable the polypaint information. And then check to see if it works well. And like you can see, there's no polypaint enabled. Yeah, remember to hydrate. Yeah, I forgot to prep my glasses to have some water in it. Like, I do have a glass, but it's empty, so sad. Oh, you're the guy who's making the 8080 Walker. I'm excited to see that, like being able to be finished. Also, if you have multiple subtools that have like polypaint information and not like some don't, you can just click on the shift and then clicking on the polypaint brush icon, and then you can just like remove the entire mesh or entire like subtool of polypaint. Like, this is pretty handy. And same goes for the eyeball. You can just disable the subtools by using the shift key. And if you have multiple, like thousands of meshes that you need to be able to like go through and hide and like show, like for example, if I want to like see the helmet on this model, I can just go to the V2 and enable like the entire mesh and then just go through and like see. I just want to like enable the helmet, and then if I switch back to V1, I can see the entire mesh, and then if I go to V2, I can just see the helmet from the other meshes. Like, it's pretty simple. It just stores the visibility of the mesh. And like for example, if I want to store the cloth, body, and the helmet, I can just switch this on and then go back to V1, and then like if I want to go back to the state, I just can switch between the two. And if I want the other mesh, like for example, if I want to like just see the glove and the boots, and let's say the backpack, I can just go to V3 to actually get the other state and then switch between the three states. So using visibility groups will be handy for like manipulating multiple subtools. It's always fun to see people like realizing for the first time, saying, "Oh, oh." Sometimes I go to studios and then show kind of like features, and like some question comes up, and then they don't know the feature exists in ZBrush, and I just show them, and they will be like, "Oh, you can do that? Yeah, sure." Well, feel free to ask any questions if you have one. I'll be answering those kind of questions as much as possible. Yeah, like, you know, working with booleans and like working with like hundreds of like subtools are sometimes like really tricky. Like, if I have the entire mesh, and then if I have the like areas where I already know where how it's going and like how the balance is, I'll just like start making like multiple like Z tools and then like combine them at the end. But like that depends on your workflow and how like you're comfortable with that workflow as well. So. Okay, so looking at the image of the spacesuit helmet, it doesn't go down to this part, so it usually just stops around. Because it's not a circle, so I need to think about how it would look. Yeah, it looks more like this compared to an eyeball. Once I had to cut the figurine into 73 parts and pin them all down, I died till I finished it. Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, it's pretty tricky. Is there a way to locate a hole in the mesh of the boolean? Locate a hole. You mean, okay, oh, like for example, if you have an open border to actually see those kind of like stuff. I do remember something related to well, no, I don't think so. No, you like if you're using a dedicated tool for like 3D printing, some applications have those kind of like stuff, but inside ZBrush, there's no feature that goes like specifically towards that kind of like application. But if you're using like live booleans, and then if you have a trouble on your mesh, you can see the area. Like if you have a pop-up saying, oh, you have an issue with the mesh, you can go to the renders and then you go to the show issues, because if you have an issue, it's gonna show up, and then you can check where the issue is and it's gonna highlight it in red. After doing most of the key booleans and pinning, one key part turns out to be having a serious yeah. I use Go M. What is Go M? Go Z to repair meshes. I was just wondering. Yeah. Yeah, you can also use the close hole option and then like see where the area has been closed, and then you can just isolate that area. Like for example, if I have a mesh like this, and then if I close hole, and then if I flip it and see where the area is, you can see the closed hole, but if it's really small, it's really hard to see. And if you have millions of like polygroups, yeah, I get what you mean. Oh, I need to collect some reference images. I don't really have enough images. But I think I can just add things from my imaginations. So one thing I can add would be a thruster. Or some kind of like a bolt on the backpack. How do you know when to ZBrush? Do you keep it Dynamesh mode as long as you're exploring? Like I usually just like switch to ZBrush where I know where my like mesh is going. So for example, like I have a Dynamesh like this, and then like I would switch to ZBrush after I get some like lines or like get some like rough designs going, and then I know the rough shapes, right? So I would switch to ZBrush. Like this is fine to switch to ZBrush. But if I'm not really sure if the outline is confirmed, or if I don't really know if I need to like tweak it more, I just keep it as Dynamesh. Yeah, it comes from experience. Like, if you're just starting out, it's sometimes like hard to grasp when to do it, but eventually, like you come to the realization that the timing doesn't really matter. you're gonna do multiple like zero meshes anyways. Like you're not gonna like do it once and you get satisfied. Oh, okay. Yeah, I was too stuck on my like ZBrush terminologies. Yeah, take care. Get some sleep. How are you testing new Maxon ZBrush features? What do you mean by that? A work for Maxon? What do you mean? I'm not gonna talk any secrets. Well, the new features are going to be reading your brains to actually get some geometries, I guess. So it's a joke, but well, I can't talk about new features. Like, you guys know this. Oh, you're forcing me to. Okay. I need to learn some poker faces, and then like I can't like do some like facial expressions like while getting Oh boy. I can't like do some like facial expressions while I'm getting integrated. What do you say? How do you say this? In interrogated. Yes. Okay. Yeah, it's fine. Integrations. Interrogated. Yeah, looks fine. Looks better. Okay, I need to think about additional things. Oh, no. I don't want this two to be merged. Split. Put hidden. Mirror and weld. Oh, I don't need this to be local. Fine. Oh, by the way, as Nightbot has mentioned, Paul will be doing some presentations in NAB. So if you're around, or if you're active around like Las Vegas, you can visit the NAB to actually meet Paul. Sadly, I live in Japan, so I can't really visit Las Vegas that easily, but yeah. Ooh. Oh, by the way, on the last stream, I talked about a bird having a nest outside my window, but like I was able to take some footage. Let's see. So this is the actual like footage that I took. So you can see there's a nest inside some like small space that usually there's a blind or some kind of a cover for the rains to not like hit the windows directly, but there's a nest, so I can't use this area now. But like, it's just right outside my like window outside. Like you can see this wall here, right? It's just opposite the wall, so like I'm sitting like right next to it, to be honest, and like it's making a lot of like tweeting noise, and like in the morning, like there's a lot of like sound coming from the nest because it's like trying to like find food and like bring food to the nest. So if you hear some like birds noise, then that's the reason why. It's easy to get in there because like it has some kind of like a slit or some kind of like a open space that you can get in, and usually like you put a metal sheet so it doesn't get in, but like after a storm came and like I like put the folds or the blinds inside the storage, but because I pushed it in, so the like the entrance was open. So now it was easy for them to get inside, and I don't mind, but I need to clean it up after they leave, so I just need to keep that in mind. Feed them, yeah. I actually fed some like berries. Like they don't really eat worms for some reason, so I just picked up some like berries and gave them. I usually like I wouldn't usually give out some like foods to wild animals, but because it's like living next to me, like I thought, why not? Also, I took the footage like putting some like lights on, so like I felt really sorry for the birds. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I think the suit needs to be more puffy because it needs to have that kind of like air inside, so it doesn't like feel like it's a cloth or something like that. It's more like a actual like suit of like suit for astronauts, basically. Will you use the helmet as Boolean on the backpack? Oh, for this one? Yeah. I'll just need to like adjust the shape. So I'm gonna use the transpose and then adjust the helmet to be a bit more fitting to the Now you made me think now. I think I need to just move this backwards. Yeah, I need to look at more references because like currently I'm going blind. I need to look at more footages and the museum pieces that you can find. If I was rich as Adam Savage, like Adam Savage has some kind of like a replicated suit for astronauts, I would buy that. But I'm not rich enough to get that thing, so no. But I will look at image references to actually get the feeling of what it looks like. Well, if the bird knows the light existed and then they decided to make a like nest, then it's fine. But like I was like turning on lights to actually get that footage, so different thing, I guess. So usually in the morning, like they fly around and then get some like foods that they need to maintain themselves, and then like fly away for a while and then come back at the night. So usually around the morning, like you can see a couple of like birds like just flying around or like just staying inside the nest. I haven't seen the two birds at the same time, but I think it's just a matter of time to actually get some footage or like some like images that shows there's a pair. This could fit into Subnautica. Oh, I haven't played Subnautica, to be honest. Okay, so I'm gonna add a bit of a rubber sole, or what do you call those? The rubber, the padding on the boots. I don't need. I don't need the thickness, except, and I'm gonna make this flat. and just put it inside the mesh for a while, and then add some thickness to it. I'm gonna add some details later on, but like just get some boots so I can just start thinking about what kind of like stuff would be necessary. I think I could just add some rings around it so it looks more tight, but I would need to look at the actual like references and collect more images. Like I did like find a couple of like references, but like now looking back at it, like I don't think I have enough. So in under 2 hours, you're able to make something like a spacesuit. So you just need to take a bit more time to actually do the details and get more details done. I do think I'm gonna use some like IMM brushes heavily on this like detailing portion of the mesh. I do need to actually understand what kind of like dials, what kind of like buttons would be existing on the actual suit. But it, like as I said, it's not a really realistic like spacesuit. So I just need to understand what kind of like stuff would be necessary and what kind of like stuff would be like fitting to the suit, and not actually like having to think about every single dial of the suit itself. So. And also there should be, yeah, like some references has a huge like a backpack with some boosters and like life support. But I'm not sure if I should go that route or if I should just focus on the suit itself and make it pretty simple. I could use some tapering. Tapers, transparency, and don't need this area to have. Oh, I can just go back to the taper and then limit this effect. Okay, and switch back. It's slightly going diagonal. Guess something like this, but the bottom portion should be, I guess, straight. Clip curves. Oh, opposite. Okay, I'm gonna end my stream here, around here, and if you have any questions, let me know in the YouTube comment sections or something like that, or you can come to the Discord to actually ask me questions. So if you go to the Discord server, yeah, you can check out the URL to join the Discord server and get some questions posted there as well. Also, check out the Huxley stream we just did today. Which you can find on the YouTube channel on Pixelorg channel. I'm gonna end my stream here. Hope you enjoyed. See you next week with the more references for the actual like spacesuit. So see you guys. Bye.